Thank you guys for tuning in to the virtual candidate forums hosted by Teaching for the Culture. My name is Bianca Goolsby, and I'm the founder, and I'm here to say thank you for being here, for being engaged and being intentional with who is going to be in our school board seats. Our children deserve the best, and we want to make sure that you are operating and you're listening very closely to what these candidates have to say. Thank you guys so much for following us. Make sure that you take a look at our website, www.teachingfortheculture.com. In addition to that, follow us on social media at Teaching for the Culture. Just a couple of rules. I want you guys to relax, have fun, and also be intentional with what the candidates have to say. If you post your questions, we will screen it. And if we have enough time, we will make sure that those questions are addressed as well. Thank you to the community that have submitted questions to us, and we are excited to get started.
Good evening. My name is Gregory Alexandria. I will be the moderator for tonight's candidate forum. The Teaching for the Culture Candidate Forum follows the nonpartisan, unbiased, and impartial format. We will have true time limits for all comments. They will be strictly enforced. In fairness to all of the candidates and our audience, we ask that these limits be respected. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening remarks to introduce themselves so that we can address as many questions as possible in the time available. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. If time permits, candidates will also have 2 minutes for a closing statement. In fairness to all candidates, we will rotate the order on how these questions are answered. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through this without any disruption in the broadcast because of the storms here in Manatee County. Again, my name is Gregory Alexandria. I'm a branch manager with BMO Harris Bank, and I have been asked to moderate this forum and this event. I'd like to get started with our opening statement. We have 2 minutes. I will be keeping a very tight watch on how the time moves. Please, when you hear me say stop, immediately stop your final word. All right. Bridget Mendel, you will be first. 2 minutes starts now. Thank you.
There we go. I got it. Okay. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. I was a longtime teacher. This is my opening statement. Is that correct, Gregory?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Good. I am a veteran teacher. I spent about 10 years teaching, about 1.5 years, almost 2 years here. That was actually in kindergarten, first grade here, and I was also a long-term sub for a long time here in Manatee County. I also taught in the south and the west sides of Chicago, and where I was proud to be working with the amazing students that was an amazing new cultural experience for me. I quickly had to get to my feet and learn fast that my cultural competencies were very far behind my colleagues as well as my own value system. So I was thrilled to have that opportunity to work with children who I had never spent much time in any community with before. I grew up in the suburbs, and my communities were not very diverse. So let's see, I was in Chicago. I have a master's degree in education. I have 3 boys that I put through the Manatee County school system over a 10-year period. We moved here from the city of Chicago. My boys got a wonderful, strong start in the Chicago public schools. I couldn't have been happier. And we came here to Florida. And I can honestly say in that 10-year period, we saw 4 superintendents and 2 interim superintendents. And I watched the quality of the instruction and the misuse of our tax dollars continue year after year. And I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to possibly have a seat on the other side of the dais to make a difference. And I have my oldest is at USF getting an undergrad degree in computer engineering, and I just graduated my twins, 18-year-olds from Lakewood Ranch High School, and they are off to college as well. So
And time.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, Gina, same thing, 2 minutes, opening statements.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me here today. I am Gina K. Messenger, and I am the current chairman of the School Board of Manatee County. I represent District 1 and was elected in 2016 to your school board. I grew up here in Manatee County, and when I ran in 2016, I ran on several things. I ran on taking no special interest money. I wanted every citizen to know that when I voted for something, that it was because I had researched it and used evidence, not politics, to make my decisions. I wanted to be a voice for those that I felt were underrepresented on our school board, parents and teachers. And for those citizens to know that whatever decisions I made, I had to live with too, because my child is in our school system too. In 2016, I ran on being budget focused. And by that, I mean more tax dollars going to educate our students. And 4 years ago, I discussed my experiences as a Title I teacher in multiple school districts in Florida. I wanted to ensure that we, as a community, work to close education gaps for our students of poverty and to work to enrich all students' educational experiences with a focus on early childhood learning. Now, I'm telling you all of this for one reason. I haven't changed, and neither have my promises and goals. The school district of Manatee County has shown incredible growth and improvements in the past 4 years, but I do believe we can always do better. And I want to continue to be part of those positive changes the school district is making. During my time on the school board, the district has become stronger financially, school grades have continued to improve, and we've seen 3 brand new schools open, adding many new programs to our students. Today, I'm asking for you to help us continue on our pathway forward by voting for me. I ask on August 18th, you vote for Gina K. Messenger, and I invite you to visit my website, ginamessenger.com, to learn more about me. Thank you.
Okay, you gave us back some time. Thank you very much. Before we start talking about specific issues and discuss our District 1, let's establish a foundation on roles and responsibilities of the school board members. A reminder that you only have 1 minute to answer each question. We'll start this rotation with Gina K. Messenger. Gina, question number 1. What do you believe is the role of a school board member? Time starts now.
Sure. And I talk really fast, so I think that's to my benefit. The school board is our governing body. It sets the policies, oversees the budget, and only has 3 employees: the superintendent, the internal auditor, and the board attorney. However, you ask about a board member. Any one board member does not have any power. It takes the vote of the board to create an action. A board member's job is to listen and represent the will of the people in their vote. Their job is to research. Their job is to work with the community and to push in the ideals of the community into the school district to ensure that our students are getting a great education. A great education system can raise up the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. Bridget, same question, same time constraints. What do you believe is the role of the school board member?
I believe the role's a little bit different. I believe that I was told back in the day when I was advocating that the school board members were not there to micromanage. They had a task, and it was to be hands off and let the superintendent do their thing. Well, the fact that we've had 4 superintendents and 2 interim superintendents over a 10-year period, I would have to disagree with the fact that school board members are not to micromanage. As a school board member, it is your responsibility that if you see that something is not right, that you need to get inside the system and figure out where things are breaking down. It's your responsibility to learn how the other departments work and how all of the pieces come together to provide high quality instruction and effective administrative leadership. They are not to be rubber stamps. They are not to be compromised in any way. Time's up?
Time's up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bridget, we'll stay with you for question number 2. What unique skills would you bring to the board? Do you have a unique perspective that may be underrepresented or absent from the board today? Time starts.
Yes, my unique experience is the fact that I have worked with struggling readers, children who don't have all the advantages growing up, many that have been in poverty. That was my area of expertise, and I feel that I have the ability to properly manage not just the funds for basic business and operation part of the district, but the instructional aspect as well. Far too many times our board members feel that the instructional side is hands off. That's left to the superintendent. I think it's time to start having district or school board members take the time to research the quality of the. Is that it?
Time.
Okay.
All right. Same question to you, Gina. What unique skills do you bring to the board? And do you have a unique perspective that may be underrepresented on the board today?
Sure. And as I said in my opening speech, I felt like people like me were underrepresented, which is why I ran. But I'm a certified teacher that taught in low-income schools in multiple school districts in Florida. And I'm also a mom. In fact, I'm the only board member or candidate that will have a child in our schools in August. And look, I'm a millennial. I'm the only board member or candidate that can say that too. Being the youngest person to ever been elected in the school district by the school board of Manatee County, I bring diversity to our board that is needed. But when I was elected in 2016, I also ran on being budget focused. To ensure that I could live up to every promise I ran on, I went and I took classes on school district finances and Florida education funding. I believe being a parent and a teacher are important perspectives on the board. But without those additional finance classes, it would be hard for any board member to put ideas into action. Thank you.
Question number 3. Gina, we'll be starting with you. This question comes from Teaching for the Culture. Identify the difference between equality and equity.
Okay, so equity would be giving everyone, no, I would say equality would be giving everyone the same thing. Equity would be creating supports to ensure that everyone can reach the same platform, which means that there might be more supports needed for certain groups or certain individuals. It's not just one size fits all. It is everyone getting what they need in order to be successful and rise up in our education system.
Thank you. Bridget, again, this question comes from Teaching for the Culture. Identify the difference between equality and equity.
I would have to start off with a very famous image of equality and equity. It's an image of 3 people, 3 different sizes, all at a baseball game. They don't have tickets inside of the field, but they have to look over the fence. So you have 3 crates. The crates are all the same size, and so only the tallest person can see over the fence. That's equality. Everybody there is on a crate at the baseball game. But equity is when the tallest person passes their crate over to the smallest person and they can see over the fence. And then finally, you have the equitable opportunity for 3 different students of 3 different cultural competencies or places, all able to get the same access to view that baseball game as the other people who may have come to the game with a different set of privileges or a different set of opportunities. That's the difference between equality and equity.
All right, thank you. We'll be going back to you, Bridget, for question number 4. What do you see as the district's greatest challenges, and how would you work to address them as a school board member?
The district's greatest challenges is the lack of transparency, truth, and trust that they provide to the taxpayers, parents, and teachers, as well as the students in Manatee County. It's very frustrating when there is a culture of bullying and threats and intimidation and ham-handedness of punishment that's handed down that really we need to come to terms with. In addition, the fact that we have 47% of our students who cannot read at grade level, and we continue to buy the same old tired curriculum. and software products that is not making a change for the students that we continue to leave behind in Manatee County. So
All right, thank you. Gina, what do you see as the district's greatest challenge, and how would you work to address them, being a school board member and being able to continue if you're elected again?
Absolutely. So, our greatest challenge will be reopening schools. My experience on the board has taught me many things that will be necessary during this coming year. We know that we will need to reallocate funding and work with individual schools to address their needs. I've worked to build relationships with all of the principals in my district, and they all have my personal cell phone number to call me. We know that the teachers will need additional technology and safety supports, and my work with our school district and our schools and district staff will ensure that the school district fully supports the teachers. Finally, families need choices so that we can ensure that all of our students have the best education possible. This goes especially for our students of poverty. We know that the best way out of poverty is a great education, and we need to ensure that we are offering that even during a pandemic. Bottom line, we need stability in the middle of this very unstable time. Thank you.
And right on time, thank you. Gina, we're going to stick with you for number 5, and then we'll go to Bridget. It is well past the time for Florida education officials to re-examine and reinvigorate the 1994 infusion law that truly prioritized Black history and ethics studies for a new generation of students. If reelected, what's your plan to ensure all students will receive Black history education as required by law?
Thank you. So I believe that our curriculum should follow the law, represent the standards, and reflect the support of the community. A few years ago, the law changed about curriculum being chosen and getting feedback from the community. In fact, I took courses on the changes in the law and then went back to the board to push for more local control over curriculum materials. A curriculum is chosen by educators and district staff. Then, when the curriculum is chosen, the community is invited to review it prior to its purchase. This gives the community the say in what is used in our classrooms. Because standards are in the process of changing, we have not adopted any curriculum yet, but we could make sure that these items are addressed when we go through this curriculum adoption process, which, as I said, is open to the community, and we want the community to be involved in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bridget, question number 5. It's well past the time for the Florida education officials to re-examine and reinvigorate the 1994 infusion law to truly prioritize Black history and ethics studies for a new generation of students. If elected, what's your plan to ensure all students will receive Black history education as required by law?
can I just ask a question before I answer? I'm not familiar with this law. So in 1994, a law was passed and we still are not providing African-American curriculum to our students in Manatee County. I guess I'm confused. Is this something that was supposed to be activated in 2020 or I'm not familiar with the law.
It was passed in 1994. It's statewide and it allows us to prioritize Black history and ethics studies.
And we haven't been doing that since 1994 in Manatee. Because I don't think we are. I ask this because I'm just not familiar with this. I guess I can just refocus and go this way. I'm a little horrified that this law went into effect in 1994, and I have never seen a curriculum purchased that focuses on African American history. So while we may have protocols in place, the fact that we haven't done it and it's 2020 is highly concerning to me. I think that we need to find a group of educators with the cultural competency to choose the best quality curriculum that we can find out there that is Afrocentric and focused on our students and the community that this curriculum will represent. I find it very concerning that when my boys got to Lakewood Ranch High School, their textbooks were purchased the year the school was open. They were over 20 years old. Their U.S. history textbooks were 15 years old. So the fact that we were supposed to purchase this curriculum in 1994, that would be addressed immediately as soon as I were added to the board.
Thank you. Bridget, we'll go back to you for question number 6 to start with. What are your thoughts on e-learning for the Black and Brown communities where Wi-Fi has been challenging, and your plan to ensure that it is continually provided in safe places so that students are equipped to receive such services as homes, designated facilities? So again, making sure that the students are able to receive those services such as in homes or designated facilities.
Sure. I was highly concerned. A new PowerPoint came out with some additional changes to policy for our e-learning. And in this, it was very clearly stated that wireless would not be provided to students regardless of income. The buses would no longer be provided with wireless because we had to use them for transportation, but that this material would not be, the Wi-Fi would not be purchased for students who did not have the ability to afford this. I did find, by following the Bradenton Herald the next day, of course, there was outrage, and apparently the head of IT is going to be bringing an invoice of anywhere from $1.3 to $1.4 million to provide wireless to those students who cannot afford it. It will be highly concerning and educational malpractice if the board does not approve the $1.3 million to provide wireless for our children of color who cannot afford it. Because the other option, these children, is only one other option. And
all right, thank you. Gina, we're gonna go to you for question number 6, same question. What are your thoughts on e-learning for Black and Brown communities where Wi-Fi has been challenging, and your plan to ensure that it's continually provided in safe places so that students are equipped to receive those services, such as in homes or designated facilities?
Sure. So the benefit of our plan is that parents really had the choices. And if they chose e-learning, that was one of the parts, was that they would have to supply their own Wi-Fi. However, in talking with the superintendent, she recognizes that that can be a limitation. So one of the things that I've been working with her on is to ensure that we have Wi-Fi available to as many students in impoverished areas that need it, so that if the parents and the families decide that that's what they want to do, we can support all of the family's needs. We have entire schools that we supply Wi-Fi to. We have one out in the Rabonia area that they all get internet from the school district that goes along with their customized program. So we will absolutely be bringing more Wi-Fi hotspots up because the innovative program that we used when the schools were closed was on our buses. We can't really do that now because we know the school we're going to need the school buses. So one of the plans is absolutely to purchase more Wi-Fi hotspots to ensure that students, especially if there's some sort of closure, have the Wi-Fi.
Thank you. Gina, question number 7, we're going to start with you. The data highlights a high percentage of Black and Brown students at the Horizon Alternative School. What will you do to ensure the transition is lawful, fair, and equitable moving forward?
Well, that's an interesting question. There are a few different ways that somebody can be placed in Horizons. And there is a due process system that is put in place if someone is moved there permanently. If there are short-term movements, I believe that the process is different, but the school district must follow the law. One of the things that we're hoping to achieve is a workshop on Horizon so that more accurate information is given out to the community. That should be happening next month because we want to make sure that everyone is well informed of what's really happening there, so that we can do better and be better. And if there are things that are going on there, I've talked to Willie Clark this past week, and we're talking about what are innovative ways that we can improve the education at that school and improve the process for that school. That's something that we need to focus on. Then let's work on that. Right. And like I said, the information will come, more information will come next month.
Thank you. Bridget, question number 7, same. The data highlights a high percentage of Black and Brown students at the Horizon Alternative School. What will you do to ensure that the transition is lawful, fair, and equitable moving forward?
I'll tell you right now that this particular school was under investigation in 2015 by the Florida Department of Education, was called into question based on disproportionality issues. What I will do is that it's even worse now than it was in 2015. And I would have had the data had the district allowed me the public records request that I have asked for more than once for the data and on the demographics of that school. I was told that is not public information. So suddenly, I'm going to find this out next month at a workshop when I couldn't get it from a public records request. So what I'm going to do is I have a 10-page complaint, a state complaint that's going to the Florida Department of Education. And if necessary, this will be rectified in the courts because it doesn't matter how long you're going to Horizons. If you read the ACLU law that was litigated in 2016 in Escambia County, it doesn't matter if you're going to Horizons for 10 minutes. You are offered your due process rights, and these children in Manatee County are being denied. We have 79% of the—
Thank you. Bridget, we're going to stick with you to start question number 8. In 1 minute, please provide the community a snapshot of your first 90 days if you're elected. What does your first 90-day plan look like? Time now.
First 90-day plan is to have a dyslexia screener provided immediately to early childhood and primary grade students to identify the 20% of the students that sit in our classrooms in Manatee County that have the language-based neurological learning disorder called dyslexia. Those children will be immediately identified, and they will immediately be provided the proper instructional materials to teach these children how to achieve grade level fluent reading. That's what I'm going to do in my first 90 days. My second, if I can get that done in 90 days, good for me. If I can't, my second foray will be into the field of bilingual education because we are leaving far too many children who have English as a second language behind. And my third will be to continue my legal pursuit to find out what's going on at Horizons and why children are being sent to this mini prison and our district school to prison pipeline.
Time. Thank you. Gina, in 1 minute, please provide the community a snapshot of your first 90 days if you are reelected.
Sure. So the first 90 days will be all about opening up schools as safely as possible. I expect the school district of Manatee County to continually follow the evolving CDC guidelines as much as possible. And I expect that it will take time for the district, the schools, the teachers, and the parents to adjust to different schedules. My time on the board also makes me aware that this is also the time that the budget gets set. I will continue to focus on where and how we can plan more conservatively to ensure that we have money throughout the year for cleaning supplies, PPE, and technology. I would also visit many of my schools to ensure that the guidelines that are being set up are being followed with fidelity at our schools. But I think much of that time will also require someone that can listen to parents, teachers, and principals to hear what is working in our schools and what is not, and be willing to adapt to the circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. We'll stick with you to start question number 9. What would you want to see in the superintendent's budget to address equity and ensuring all children receive an equitable education?
I think I would want to see additional programs and wraparound services at our Title I schools. Over the past few years, many programs have been added to our low-income schools to improve education experiences and add schema that we can build upon in the classroom. We've added a WAS Career Pathways program. It's the first in the nation. This program teaches coding and all about technical careers. We have a new dual language program that was added, and that will create an immersive environment for our dual language students. We have a community partnership school that's set to open coming this school year, and that school will offer on wraparound services, and it will have a new clinic available to the entire community to use. And while many of these programs are new, I would expect the superintendent to fine-tune these programs and then expand them to more schools in our areas of most need. Thank you.
Thank you. Bridget, same question. What would you want to see in the superintendent's budget to address equity and ensuring all children receive an equitable education?
First of all, I want to see equity in the special and the ESC services, the exceptional student services. I do not the massive cuts that the superintendent has made to our ESC department is crippling to our students who are struggling with disabilities. I would not just want to fine tune what's there, because quite honestly, what's there is not working. And I think that the superintendent, in her lack of academic background, her lack of experience in curriculum and instruction, and the fact that she is a first-year superintendent right out of the box, I think I'd hold off on some purchases until we chose a new superintendent. That's what I would be more confident doing, because I don't have confidence that the superintendent we have sitting right now has the ability to meet the needs of of our students and to spend our community's tax dollars wisely.
Time, Bridget, thank you. We're going to start with you for question number 10. According to the latest FSA data, 72% of our third grade students were not proficient in reading. We know reading is the foundation of a strong formative education. What is your vision for reading instruction in this district, and how do you plan to accomplish that?
As I mentioned in my first 90 days, the first thing I would do is realize that we are not identifying students who are struggling with learning differences and learning disabilities, especially dyslexia. We are having children who we know have dyslexia, who have been identified outside of school on a product that a company says is not to be used with children with severe learning disabilities or dyslexia. I would address that immediately, because all we have to do is finally remediate the 20% that we're leaving behind, and suddenly we have the highest third grade reading scores in the state of Florida. That's where I would focus my time and energy. I would also take the time to have our bilingual students learn to read in their native language. We have to build a scaffold of literacy support, because decades of research shows that children who are not fluent, who are immersed in English, immediately don't become fluent in either language and are unable to read in either language. And
Thank you. Gina, same question. According to the latest FSA data, 72% of our third grade students were not proficient in reading. We know reading is the foundation of a strong formative education. What is your vision for reading instruction in this district, and how do you plan to accomplish it?
So I believe we must focus on the fundamentals of reading. As a kindergarten teacher, that is what I did. I taught children to read. We need to continue to invest in additional pre-K classes to build those fundamental skills. The school district must make data-driven decisions, and they are. If a program or curriculum is not effective, we need to discontinue its use and find ones that work for our students. Different programs and curriculums are available to our lower performing students to help raise them up and give them the additional supports. In May of 2019, the board approved a new position titled Curriculum Coordinator Campaign for Grade Level Reading. Ultimately, I believe it is a community approach that we need here. The school district has partnered with United Way, Manatee County government, and many community organizations to tackle the issues of grade level reading. We need to work with the entire community.
Right. Thank you. Gina, we're going to go back to you for question number 11. What experience do you have to be a change agent for Manatee County schools, given the divisions in the United States concerning racial equity, racism, and the likely economic impact of COVID-19?
So I actually believe I have been a change agent on the board. I'm a mom and I'm an elementary teacher, and I've pushed those values and feedback to guide decisions that best benefit our students. I'm the only woman, and I'm a millennial, and I bring those different perspectives that have been underrepresented on our board. And now, as the chairman, anyone that watches the board meeting would notice how different they are run. I am calm and I work to build a consensus so that the board can move forward with a strategic pathway forward. I ensure that the rules are followed and that all the members are heard and less fighting is occurring. I believe that we have been a force. I've been a force for even-handedness. I've been a voice of reasonableness. And more importantly, I've worked to build a team mindset. But most recently, the superintendent has created a diversity and inclusion committee, and the board has supported the implicit bias training for all employees, including the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Bridget, what experience do you have to be a change agent for Manatee County Schools, given the discussions in the United States about racial equity, racism, and the likely economic impact of COVID-19?
The experience I would have is the fact that I have many years teaching in 3 different states in 3 different academic settings. But the issue, the biggest change agent is going to be to change the superintendent. You can't make change with a superintendent who is not making good choices in our district. And it's time to if you constantly agree and you rubber stamp everything the superintendent does, that's not being a change agent. That's where I feel like I am not afraid to speak truth to power. I identify communities that are underserved year after year after year, and I'm not afraid to reach out and figure out what's going wrong. In addition, that diversity inclusion committee, we still don't even have a compliance officer at the top of that department yet. That department is severely lacking. It's time to really take.
Thank you, Bridget. Moving on to question number 12. We'll be going right back to you. E-learning has been challenging for Black and Brown communities due to the digital divide. If elected, what is your plan to ensure students are equipped to receive services such as homes and designated facilities? And then how are you going to address the disparities?
In regard to the digital divide, yes, it is great. But we as a district make it greater when we refuse to provide these low-income families with that we force them to have their own wireless made available to them. It's time to offer them a wireless school bus or a location to provide them air cards. And we must also provide constant parent development, parent training. If that child is going to be at home and there is a digital divide, there's no reason that we can't have our resource teachers working with families at home via video. We can also have our social workers make home visits and bring IT support with them. If a family's having trouble, there's no reason why we can't send our people that work for the district into the community to help these families where they in the best place that they have for learning. We can also reach out to churches or community centers or the boys club, whatever it may be.
Right.
The divide is great, but it does not, it can be right.
Thank you. We're going to question number 12. Gina, e-learning has been challenging for Black and Brown communities due to the digital divide. If you are re-elected, what is your plan to ensure students are equipped to receive services such as homes or designated facilities? And then what can you do to address the disparities?
Well, I think the biggest thing comes down to devices. Just recently, the board approved buying thousands more devices. We're almost to the point where we're at a 1-to-1 ratio now in Manatee County with devices. And I think that is the biggest disparity. When a student has to do their Schoology on a cell phone, that hinders their learning. So ensuring that every single student and every single child has a device in hand and can use that at home, I think is the biggest thing that we can do. And we've worked to fund that. And we will continue to work to fund that. That is one of our initiatives now at this point, is to have a 1-to-1 ratio. And like I said, we're very, very close to reaching that point. When it comes down to services, I think that when we're looking at how we're going to redo this e-learning, we can't look at what happened in the past. We have to focus on making it better and making it far more immersive. And that means having a lot more video conferences like this, allowing that, having that, I'm sorry, yes.
Thank you. It's okay. We'll be going right back to you, Gina, for question number 13. Do you think that nepotism should be a part of the school district policy for board members?
That's an interesting question. The school board is not governed by school district policy. That's just not part of the school board. The school board is not governed by any policy that the school board actually sets. The school board is actually governed by state laws. State laws are very clear about nepotism. And if there's any employee that works under a school board member, then a school board member must recuse themselves. And that's a very clear state law because we are constitutional officers. We must follow the law. Otherwise, that's an ethics violation. That has nothing to do with the policies. A policy set in place would not affect the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bridget, same question, number 13. Do you think that nepotism should be a part of the school district policy for board members?
Yes, it shouldn't even be a question. When you're in the school board and you have a spouse or a family member that's a direct report to the superintendent, or you are in many ways compromised, and we have the opportunity now to even elect another board member who is the spouse that works actually for the school board itself. So it's highly inappropriate. I feel it's very unethical, and I don't feel that you can do your job well enough if you are worried about your bread and butter and your spouse's job and your income. It's an ethics issue, and the law is clear. And nobody directly reports me. If my spouse were the board attorney or the auditor or the superintendent, most definitely that's highly inappropriate. But in the end, you shouldn't have somebody at a very high district level who's almost a near direct report to the superintendent that's serving on the school board. It's highly unethical, and that needs to change.
Time. Thank you. Bridget, question number 14 is going to be our last question for the night, and then we'll go into instructions for our closing statements. For question number 14, Bridget, what is your vision for education for the community that you hope to serve, and how do you expect to be held accountable for moving the district toward that vision?
Can you read that one more time? I'm sorry, I was having a technical issue.
Sure. What is your vision for the education for the community you hope to serve, and how do you expect to be held accountable for moving the district toward that vision?
I would be held, the vision is a free and appropriate public education for all, not for some, not for those who can afford it. That's free and appropriate for all. And that includes all of our students in ESE services, bilingual students, and students who may have been shipped off to Horizons without their due process rights. As far as how I would be accountable to that, I would be accountable to that when I saw a community that did not have a constant turnover of teachers, did not have constant turnover of district administration, where the district auditors had full access, citizen auditors had full access to all of our financial records, not cherry picked by the board, where cost overruns on major infrastructure projects don't go over by $20-30 million. And where this is a place where we can feed the community, and we can bring jobs. We have.
Thank you. Gina, question number 14. What is your vision for education for the community that you hope to continue to serve? And how do you expect to be held accountable for moving the district towards that vision?
So my vision for Manatee County includes that all students get a great education, and that when they graduate from the school district of Manatee County, that they are ready for a career, technical training, or college. And to do that, we need to attract and retain high quality teachers, bus drivers, and school support staff. Families need choices to find a school that will best support his or her child's needs and personality and goals. And we also need to ensure that we are budget focused, so that we can focus all of our money on our students and to enrich their education here in Manatee County. You mentioned accountability. To me, I would look towards reading proficiency. I can expect it to continue to improve as it has. And I would expect to see in continuing and improving graduation rates. Those are things that I think we should look towards. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we will move to our closing statements. Candidates, you each have 2 minutes. Bridget, we'll start with you.
Okay, first I'd like to say that in regard to that accountability measure, I would know that I had done the right thing, and I would be accountable when Black and Brown lives actually matter in Manatee County, where Black lives matter and all children receive a free and appropriate public education. In regard to my closing, I'm going to start with that amazing quote by Desmond Tutu. There comes a point when we need to just stop pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. The throwaway children, the underserved in our county, the Black and Brown children in our county who rarely get a hand up out of that river. Far too often they end up in the school to prison pipeline where they're quoted as homeschoolers, or they're told that they're not on enough medication, or they get lost in the child fine laws that Manatee chooses, or should I say, refuses to abide by. Time is up, Manatee. It's time for new members on that board who are willing to walk the mile upstream and to find out why these kids are falling in. It's time to make a plan, and it's time to make amends for the damage that has been done to so many of the Black and Brown children in our community. We will turn Horizons into a national model for rehabilitation and remediation for our most vulnerable children. As we work out the disproportionality issues in the courts, if necessary, we can work on our plan to meld what we have at Sable and use the resources we have at Horizons. And we can make that school a short stopping off point before our children are ready to compete with those back in their traditional classrooms who never had the opportunity, who never fell in that river. And in the first place, whether because it was due to income, race, or privilege. It's time to level the playing field and let those who have fallen behind catch up. We need to find a safe place for kids before they get back on their feet again. And we need to do it now.
Thank you. Gina K. Messenger, closing statements. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Thank you. I want to touch on some of the things that I've focused on. You know, as a member of the school board, I've supported a lot of new initiatives. This past school year, we opened a health clinic at Southeast High School, and that clinic offers services and mental health services to some of our most at-risk students. I fully supported the clinic, and I was there at its grand opening. And some of my long-term goals, one of the things that I worked on when I ran was pre-K classes. You know, when I was running 4 years ago, we only had 25 pre-K classes. Last year, we had 100. Now that 100 classes will help build a foundation for all of our students in the fundamentals of reading. I really want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I am a mom and a teacher on our school board that has worked diligently for the past 4 years to listen and represent you and what is best for our students here in my hometown, Manatee County. During my time on our school board, we have seen student achievement improve. We've seen financial stability and more opportunities for our students. We need to continue to move forward, and that is why I'm asking for your vote on August 18th. I ask that on August 18th, you vote for Gina K. Messenger, and I invite you to visit my website, ginamessenger.com, to learn more about me. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you to both of the candidates, and I'd also like to say thank you to Bianca Goldsby, who is starting this initiative to make sure that these candidates are brought to these forums in this digital time. It's really, really important that they have an opportunity to introduce themselves and enrage our comment section. I love seeing everything that's happening. Great things from Kimberlyn, Gretchen, Alson, and Kevin. Thank you so much for being active. I want to make sure that you guys know we have a poll that is now posted for you to make your voice heard. The results will be continue to post on Monday, and it's going to be on Teaching for the Culture. So if you want to go to the poll, look in the comment section, you'll see links for that, but it is www.teachingfortheculture.com/MD1. This is Gregory Alexandria from BMO Harris Bank, community member in Manatee County. I thank you very much for spending part of your evening with us. Enjoy, be safe. Thank you.